Alright, so today is a completely different kind of project because I have not worked on my own things in like almost 2 months. I've been working on everybody else's stuff, it seems, because after I done, yeah. Hey, long story short, it's today, my friend, I'm covering up the camera there. My friend Gabby. Say hi, Gabby.
Hello.
We are working on her Spark today. Any of you guys who are into Sparks will have already seen this car in some way, shape, or form, or any of you guys who are in the St. Louis area. It used to be Diva themed, and now what is this? Mitsutani? I'm butcher. What?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk. All right, we're going with that. Yeah, Cyberpunk aesthetic stuff. So anywho, today she got herself a fancy set of BC Racing Coilovers. These are custom made, right? They don't just make these, or?
No, they I think
They're off the shelf now for these?
Yeah.
Awesome.
They shipped in like 3 days or something.
Okay, cool. So, because Kyle, you had to have yours custom made, right?
They're custom spec.
They're custom spec'd. Okay, but they already made them for the Juke and stuff. Okay, cool. But yeah, so today we're gonna just be installing that on the Spark. Once again, no foresight, no extra camera, and I don't want to get my phone gross, so because it's not IP rated. It's not because I don't like having dirty phone. It's just if I get it dirty, it could ruin it. Hopefully the third generation of this phone will be. So yay! But yeah, so anyway, we're just gonna be changing this out so that she can actually get some like decent ride quality. Because before she just had these little lower end springs on the factory struts, which there it is. There's the factory strut. Actually, not like a giant difference in overall design, but obviously these are better made coilovers with these cool little adjusters on the top. So anywho, this is just another one of the little side projects where I help out my friends who have cool cars. Because Kyle also has this FJ. He also has this 48?
Yeah.
48. Yeah, 48 truck. It's 48. And then you guys have some of my stuff, but his Juke is way over there in the distance. So, this guy, they have a lot of cool cars. Until we're done. So yeah, the WRX is officially ready. Alright, so after some flibbertiness, we found out that I cut out the little rubber butt plug for the old suspension. This thing looks like a little chest piece. Well, turns out that's completely useless. So, the being is that you literally just connect the old little thing up into there and connect it to the strut, because there's already some compliance bushings up in that thing, and then if you put anything else in there, then you lose your adjuster. So it literally is, you just take the little top hat off and put it on the new thing. They give you a new nut, so that nut becomes garbage over there. And yeah, you can see it's
So this would be 70.
significantly lower. However, actually, by the way, Gabby, we can actually probably, this collar looks like it can be lowered. They have a little access port window, so usually that's to tell you what the tallest maximum setting is.
Okay.
Depending on the manufacturer, sometimes they will say that, don't exceed this amount, don't go beyond that amount, and that's usually what the hole is.
You can show them the hole.
Yeah, I forgot to show you guys that little access hole. So it actually can probably go quite a bit lower if you wanted to get closer to stock ride height. Now, if this is optimal, I don't know, because that's like the annoying thing is that some will actually be like, this is the optimal setting for it, but you can go higher or lower if you want to. So if they don't have any good instructions for it, then I say let's go ahead and aim for the ride height that you want to go with. Which would you like to be pretty close to where you were before?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, then we will go ahead and we'll just extend this out as far as we can, and then we'll see how that goes. So we're just gonna adjust this little collar here. It's just like a standard coilover setup, only it's divorced. So there's the spring perch over there, which we have. You took it apart? Oh, you did take it apart. Yeah, so these are the cool little spring perches where they have height adjustments, so you can adjust your preload on the springs. So again, for any of you guys who've worked on any, this is actually pretty common in like BMWs, Nissans, and a few other cars, I think. Don't quote me on that. But to have that divorced setup. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and keep on installing these rears. So a little bonus bit of information. This little guy, it needs to come out of there. It's got this little nipply boy. Oop, I'm not holding in front of the camera. That little nipply boy that you have to yoink out of the hole up in there. But once you take this little guy out, that's actually replaced by the bottom piece right here on the spring perch. So basically, we're doing it to the other side now over there. We're going to take the wheel off and start the process over again, but all in all, still not horribly terrible. And then we're going to play around. And before, we're going to keep it at the height that they set it when they shipped it, and we'll see how it goes. And if it's too low, then we'll raise it up. But for now, we're just going to install everything the way it came and see how it goes. Alright, so something I forgot to capture before, but to get the factory strut here, this little guy, this little tip right here, basically to get the nut off of that, and you get this whole assembly is what we wanted to take off. Let me flip it. But yeah, so this is the part, we actually need this little bit on this side. So this just pops off, like this whole thing, you just pull it apart. I can't do it with one hand right now. But all of this comes off of the strut. Hold on, this is awkward. This is why I need to go back to making sure I bring my cameras and stuff. So this whole assembly is like this together, which we're gonna go wide view. There you go. And then that little nut goes up there. So in order to hold this, hold that guy right there, God, this is awkward with one hand.
I can hold it for you.
It's alright, I'm good. We used, good old little 8mm or 6mm wrench to hold that tip up. So after that, we started to work the nut off with just a standard 15mm ratcheting wrench, and with a little bit of penetrating oil, it comes off not too bad. You do have to give it some chutzpah though. So, I got Gabby here, properly orchestrating the best way. There's no other way to do this. No way, no how, nope, no way. This is the best way. And anywho, it's, I don't even remember what size, but basically if you have had a hex bit set, you should just get a bit set. Don't try to get individual bits. I tried to do that when I first started. Just get a full set, you'll be happier. And basically, he's just, she is just tightening the nut down. Yep, right over there, while holding it in place with the ratchet. So you set the ratchet to go to the left, you set your wrench to go to the right. And again, they didn't really give a lot of specs to come with this, so right now we're gonna aim for probably about 60 foot-pounds, maybe even less than that. Just basically really hand tight. So
well, I won't go any tighter actually. So
yep.
Here, you get to try it.
Alright, so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down some more, and then after that, we're gonna plop this on the car. But like I said, easy peasy. Another thing I forgot to mention is you also want to jack up the little cross member down there, because once you undo your other strut, everything's going to want to just drop down spectacularly. Mistake with Kyle's juke a while back.
That's why he said to make sure to do that.
But yeah, so make sure you jack it up before you take both sides down, because that section really does just hinge straight down, which it's not like you'll break anything, but it's unnecessary tension on your hoses and lines and all the other stuff. But like I said, I just wanted to toss that a little bit in there, and I'll probably insert this out of order of when I filmed it, because I forgot to mention it when I should have. But yeah. Alright, so basically, next thing that we went ahead and did is you will have to, so I wasn't able to really film it super well. Basically, you just put that lower spring perch that I mentioned, the little rubber ring down there, and then you set your spring on top of it, and then if you have 3 people, it's extra easy, but if you have 2 people, I just awkwardly reached my arm around and grabbed our jack over there, and we were able to steadily jack. So this is one of those things where you can do it by yourself, but it could be a huge pain to do so. So if you have another person, I just had Gabby over there. Wave hello, Gabby, from down below. Basically, we just lined it up on both sides simultaneously, and then you just jack it up ever so slightly until this other perch lines up right up in there. And then after that, you can go ahead and start jacking it. Start jacking it up a little bit higher. Oh, I'm getting bad light. Yeah. Start jacking it until the holes line up, and then as soon as the holes line up, then you stop jacking it and you just shove it in. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so we just finished jacking it and lining up the holes. And basically, like I said, you just jacked it up steadily until the holes line up, and I mean, these bolts slotted right in. This has actually been really painless for the most part. Fuck. Shouldn't have said that. Anywho. But yeah, and then right now the default settings actually seem to be pretty perfect, so I'm glad that we didn't mess around with stuff too much. But we'll see. If the car is still too low, then we'll get to mess around and ruin stuff even more. But all in all, the rears are all installed and we're getting it torqued down now as we speak. Hopefully we'll be done with the rears here in just a minute and we'll get to move on to the fronts. So I gotta say, we're already getting the wheel back on and stuff. This is probably the easiest rear end I've helped service before. So hopefully, like I said, we're going to go ahead and torque the luggies down. We're going to drop the car down, see if, and the other thing too is we'll need to do the fronts before we decide on ride height stuff. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, torque these down. Then we're going to jack up the front, and then we're going to go ahead and service the front now that we've thoroughly serviced the back. And then we'll see how it rides height-wise, but like I said, this is going, you know, I shouldn't have said it out loud, because now the fronts are going to be hard for some reason. Just watch. Just watch. But, oh no, this is going okay. Yeah, I'm very superstitious. Why you gotta do tie? Oh, are we doing tie rod ends today?
I don't know.
Do you mean? Oh, do you mean the?
Shorty boys.
Yeah, not tie rod ends. You mean sway bar end links?
Yeah, sway bar end links.
Yeah. Oh, have those not been taken off before? Ooh. Never mind. That could be fun.
I did when I did the springs. They had to come off, kind of.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But I remember
See?
them being
Okay. Yeah, that was. But it's not like she drives in the winter all over the place all day, every day.
She did for a while.
Oh. Well,
Up until
we'll find out.
Not like everyone.
Alright, so now we're on to the front end. So, basically, this is a traditional McPherson style strut. Your two big bolts up there. You've got a sway bar end link connection. That's one thing we're kind of worried about, because end links are notoriously terrible because they have a hex bit in the middle that loves to waller out, and the nuts love to get stuck on there. So we're going to see how well that goes, but everything else should come off pretty easy. And then up here, so there's technically a proper tool that you can get that's like a little socket with a notch cut out of it so you can hold that. But we're just going to go ahead and do it with a crescent wrench because they've managed to do it that way before because it's like a 23 millimeter nut. But we're going to do it the ghetto way, see how that goes. And then the front end won't take too long, but we'll see. Alright, so basically we went ahead. It's kind of funky. This is, I guess, you know, because not performance car, she doesn't have camber bolts on this. They're literally just these weird, they're almost like studs because they have these threads on it. So one side of the bolt actually doesn't turn at all, which makes me wonder why the hell is it even a bolt? Like, this doesn't need a bolt head if these threads don't turn at all. I mean, it makes it really easy to get the nut off the other side because you only need one tool. So basically, these were pretty tight in there. You do have to really tap them out with a hammer. So, you know, just tap them out with a hammer. You know, don't be timid about it because it did take a little bit of effort to get this out. But after that, it's literally just, you got these little rubber grommets. So these little guys just pop out the side of the strut. And then we just used a little Uggy. So depending on how old your car is, we just used an Uggy Duggy on this, and it came right off with no issues. If it's really old, you might have to just cut this off. What I always end up doing is I cut, using like a Dremel, I cut down the stud until I cut the nut in half. But we didn't have to do that, it just came right off. So right now we've got everything we need loose on the strut, so you know, this is all loose now. So we're going to go ahead and use our little box wrench buddy there, and then our little socket buddy, which got a little Torx bit on it, and we're going to try and pop this loose so we can get the strut out. Here, I'll hold this up with my shoulder.
No, I got it.
Okay. Alright, so basically, like I said, we just shoved this. We are actually literally just using a 23 millimeter wrench. Actually, this is not even a 23. This is a 15/18 wrench, or 15/16. But this is technically a 23 millimeter nut. Like I said, this is not the best way to do it, but it is an option.
I might have that there. No, I have 15/16. No,
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
Either way, but literally we're just taking this wrench. Hers really wasn't that bad on there. Again, if you have an older car or your car gets really rusty, this probably will work out a lot less, and I recommend getting the proper sockets. But if your car is well cared for or fairly newer, then we're doing it with the wrench. So this is actually like incredibly not terrible, and it's already coming loose, so there we go. So like I said, you just need something to hold the inner thing in place. I hate that they do it this way, but bippity boppity, we're off to the zoppity. Alright, so didn't capture it on video because we were just working our way through it. One thing I forgot to mention, make sure to take your sway bar end link out because it'll catch when you're trying to get the strut out and then make things a headache. But basically, as long as you removed all the other bolts, you removed the end link bolt, you removed the lower strut bolts, and you remove that guy up there, it'll drop right out without any headache, just like every other McPherson style strut. So we're going to go ahead and work on getting the last one in, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we made a handful of quick little confusion-y things. So it turns out you actually do have to reuse the factory top hat here. There is this nut right here. It actually has a little, not a flange, it's the opposite of a flange. It has a little insert on the opposite side. Make sure that faces down because this washer is actually bigger, so it'll wibble around. So you need to make sure that the little thread thing slots into the washer and tightens all that down. Then you torque all this down. Then you can actually put the strut up in the car. So that was the part that we kind of hiccuped on. But now we're ready to hopefully put this into the car and get everything fastened down, and we'll see how that goes. But we were having some weird issues where the threads didn't want to quite go down with our nut. Like, it took some effort. You could do it. It just wasn't as smooth as we would have liked. So we'll see. I mean, this probably won't change that, but it wasn't damaging the threads on the way down, so it could just be really tight. But yeah, like I said, keep on working on it. Alright, so again, that wasn't too bad. If we had the proper tools, it would have gone a lot faster. But the end links on her car came off super easy. So basically, we had to use this jack to jack up the control arm a little bit in order to get the end links to line up, because these end links are significantly shorter. I'm grabbing it. You can see significantly shorter than the factory ones. So they don't let the wheels droop quite as much. But everything else was just uggy-duggy that into place, uggy-duggy that into place. These, you hammer them in just a little bit, and then after that, the little threads on them lock it in place, and then you just literally turn this nut until it's fully tightened. So I went ahead, I did about 100 foot-pounds on these. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct, but on my cars, it's like 160, so I assume it's something in that range. But these weren't on there that tight when I took them off the first time, so I went with around 100 foot-pounds. So like I said, these two guys right here. And then aside from that, you just pop your little grommets back on for this, pop your little grommet back on for that, put your all clips back on there, but it's not too bad. And then up here, we put the little circle back in. And then we tighten this with our 23 millimeter wrench, or our 15/16, but it's a 23 millimeter. But it's so deep in there, we have to do it with a socket. So I have a 23 millimeter socket at home. So I'm gonna come back with my 23, and then we're gonna torque that down properly. But yeah, that's basically what it looks like. So it's gonna be the same process for the other side, and after that, we'll drop it down and see how it looks. All right, so the other side started to go a little bit quicker, but then we ran into the issue that this one is a little bit harder to get to with all of this stuff here and a bunch of other things. So, and also this one got a little grosser, so it's a little better on there. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go back to my place, get the actual 23 millimeter socket that we need to hopefully start moving that. Push come to shove, we may need to get like a proper box wrench for that. We'll see, but I'm gonna go get a socket. We'll see if we can break it loose using just that, and if we can't, then we'll get stuff sorted out. But like I said, the other thing too is once we did the other end link, that caused a bit of a problem. So like you can see, the end link is still sorry for the brightness, hold on. But yeah, so you can see the other end link is kind of silly. I tried hitting it with a hammer, it didn't want to budge. So because there's tension from the other end link, we're running into issues. Man, I don't know why this can't focus on that. Did I get smudge on? That's why I got smudge on the lens. So I'm sorry about the quality on that. I'll have to clean this lens in a minute. But yeah, so like I said, in the end, that's gonna end up that end link is gonna end up coming out awkwardly, no matter how you slice it. But the rest of it all came out pretty easily once we knew how it all worked. So
that's why.
I'll be back later with more of what we need. Alright, so all in all, the default settings did not appear to be universal. Well, it all depends, but I have a strong feeling that this is going to be the rake that it has right now is not intended. So We likely will end up raising the front, but we need to have her drive it around for a little bit, see how the suspension settles. The rear may settle more than the front, so I'll go and zoom back in. Because, you know, these are actually like fitment. Oh, hands too close. There you go. Fitment versus that is like stock fitment. So we'll see how it goes, but all in all, it wasn't too bad. We did end up not being able to, again, get the proper tools, boys and girls. But these guys, we just ended up uggy-duggying them with my impact because we got my impact in a 24mm socket and then just went to town. So it should be more than enough that way, especially because they're fresh, so the threads actually went down. I will say, though, that these threads were really, like, tight. Like, you really had to go to town in order to get them tight. You couldn't thread them on by finger. So, but they did go on, and like it didn't ruin the threads or anything. And they didn't include any nuts, so ta-da! But all in all, it wasn't too bad. So we'll see how everything settles out, and we'll make some adjustments later. But for now, poor Gabby has to now install all of her cowley stuff. And we're probably going to drill a hole through it. Because there are adjustment knobs that go into the top of these. But with the cowl, you obviously can't get to them, which is kind of an annoying Wish BC had included the little extendo things, or something that would allow it to come up through the top. So we're probably at some point, like I said, gonna drill a hole through so that she can stick an Allen key in there and then make her adjustments. But oh no, not bad. Not a bad, like 4 or 5 hours.
Thank you, Juan.
You're welcome. All right, anyway, that's it for this. Now I'm gonna go and work on a Civic.